Okay, so continuing with this lesson, okay, continuing with measures of dispersion. Okay, so here we have the formulas that we need on this side. Okay, and we're going to work two type of exercises, and both of them are on page 106. Okay, so you can compare your answers. Okay, so we're going to use the data information on page 105. Okay, on your books, which was this frequency table. Remember, okay, in case you don't have it at hand, but just remember. Okay, we're going to use this information from page 105, and we're going to use the data set that they're giving us as a second example. Okay, the reason we have these two types of exercises is that one is a grouped set information. You know, we have it in a frequency table. Okay, and this is just a data set. Okay, so we will compare how we get these answers, how we get all of this information, okay, from either just a group of data, okay, 2, 3, 6, 8, 11, or a wide group of data like the one on page 105, which were the scores of 80 students for a test. Okay? So let's start working. Okay, let's do this one first. Okay, we need to find out the range. Okay, so let's get to work. Okay, from the formula that we already copied on the previous lesson, we know that range is the subtraction between the maximum value and the minimum value. Okay, so from this set of information, we have that the highest value is 11 and the lowest value is 2. Okay, so we have range equals to 9. Okay, from page 105, okay, we have that the range, okay, the maximum value was 97 and the minimum value was 53. Okay, so we had that the range was 44. Okay, we already have the first piece of information for a measure of dispersion. Okay, we have the range. Okay, now let's start calculating, okay, the rest of the information. Okay, let's start with the deviations. Okay, okay, so when we're calculating the mean, okay, the mean deviation, the mean absolute deviation, sorry, okay, remember we have an absolute value because we're talking about distance. Okay, we're going to compare the distance between each point to the mean, and remember that the mean is the median number of the data. Okay, so let's calculate the mean because we're going to need it here. Okay, because this is what we're looking for. We're going to need it here, here, and we take this from this. Okay, so that means that we're going to add the frequencies, okay, and divide it by the number of data that we actually have. Okay, so let's work on this one first. Okay, so we're looking for the mean. Okay, and we know that the mean, we get it by adding the numbers that we have as data, okay, and we divide it by the number of data itself. Okay, so this means that we need to add, okay, we need to add all of these numbers and divide it by 5. Okay, so if we take our calculators, it's going to be 2 plus 3 plus 6 plus 8 plus 11 equals 30. Okay, 30 divided by 5 is going to be 6. Okay, now how do we get this same number over there? Okay, because we're going to save some space and we already had this number. Okay, we're going to do it directly. Okay, the addition of all of the information on page 105, okay, we already had this information. It was 6,030. Okay, and we're going to divide it by the number of data that we actually have. Okay, so this number came to 75. Okay, so that's what we need. Okay, we need this number, which is the mean, Okay, is the addition of all of the numbers in a group of data divided by the actual number of data. Okay, the same thing here. Okay, from page 105, if we add all of the scores, it's going to give us 6,030. Okay, and we actually have it in one of the tables. Okay, remember that when we did the frequency table, okay, the one that says frequency XM, okay, the addition of all of these values is 6,030. Okay, that's what we get this number. And 80 is the number of scores. Okay, so when we divide it, we have 75. Okay, and that's the number that we need so that we can complete the rest of the information. Okay, now that we have the mean, which is here, okay, we start working. Okay, let's work on the first one, okay, with the set of data. Okay, so when we work, the mean absolute deviation, okay, in this case, since we only have a group of data, a group of numbers, we don't need to add the frequencies. Okay, when we have a group of data and we already have it in classes, okay, that's a little bit different. But here, all we need to do is the sum, okay, remember that this symbol is the sum, okay, of the number of data minus the mean, okay, and we know that the mean is 6. Okay, so we take each number of the data and we subtract it by the mean. But remember, since we have an absolute value, it's always going to be positive. So we take 2 minus 6, absolute value, plus 3 minus 6, absolute value, plus absolute value, 6 minus 6, okay, plus absolute value. Oh, I don't have any more space. Let me put it here. Okay, I'm going to take this. We already know this one. Okay, this one comes from here. Okay, then we have next number, 8 minus 6, absolute value, plus 11 minus 6, absolute value. And all of this divided by 5. Why 5? Because we have 5 numbers. Okay, so let's review. How do we get this? Okay, remember, the formula is the number, each number of data, which is x, okay, 2 is x, 3 is x, 6 is x, 8x, 11x, okay, and we subtract it by the mean. Where do we get the mean? Here, okay, and the mean we already have it. It's the sum of all of the information divided by the quantity of numbers. Okay? So, 2 minus 6 is minus 4. But since we have an absolute value, it's 4 plus 3 minus 6 minus 3. Absolute value, 3. 6 minus 6, 0. Absolute value, 0. 8 minus 6, 2. Absolute value, 2. 11 minus 6, 5. Absolute value, 5. All of this divided by 5. Okay, so just to be sure, we take our calculators, okay, and 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 5 equals 14. Okay, and 14 divided by 5, we have 2.8. Okay, and that's how we get the mean absolute deviation. Okay? Okay, let's review. How do we get to this number? Okay, we take each number x from the data set, okay, and we subtract it from the mean, which is this. Okay, and the sum of all of these numbers divided by the quantity of data is going to give us the mean absolute deviation. Okay, now what is the mean absolute deviation in the other one? Okay, in the information that we have on page 105, sorry. Okay, so let's calculate. Okay, the information on this side is a little bit different. Okay, because here we have a group of data and we already have it organized. Okay, so what do? We take, okay, the information that we have on page 105 and we work the frequencies. Okay, when we work the frequencies, it's a little bit different. Okay, because the formula is a little bit different. Okay, when we have a group of data, okay, it's the sum of the frequencies times the deviation. Remember, the deviation is x minus the mean. Okay, so when we have a group of data like the one we have on page 105, the formula is different because we have frequencies. Okay, so that's why the formula is a little bit different. Okay, and it takes a little bit more time because we need to calculate each number, okay, each frequency of the frequency table and multiply it by the deviation. Okay, so if we take it into numbers, okay, it's going to take some space, but we'll get to it. Okay, let's copy it like this. Oh, I think I'm going to need more space. Okay, so let's copy it here. I'm going to need to copy some information here. Okay, I think I'm going to need more space here. Okay, let's do it here. Okay, so that's what we have here. Okay, first, the first frequency, okay, let's go back to the book. Okay, the first frequency, okay, from our frequency table is 1, the next one is 2, 11, 10, 12, 21, 6, 9, 4, 4. Okay, so what we need to do is we multiply the frequency first. The first frequency is 1, and then we divide the number, the mean, the x, by the mean. Okay, now what is this value? Okay, the frequency is already in the parentheses. Okay, what we need here is the number, okay, that's called xm. xm, okay, is the middle of the frequency. Okay, so if we have that the first class, is from 50 to 54, what is the middle frequency? The middle class, the middle mark, 52. Okay, so we have 52 minus 75. Okay, then plus, what is the next frequency? 2. Okay, so we multiply 2 times 54. What is the next frequency? 57 minus 75. Okay, plus, what is the next frequency? 11. So we have 11, okay, and then inside the next frequency is 62. Okay, so we have 62 minus 75, okay, plus next frequency is 10. So we have 10 multiplied by 67 minus 75. Then we have plus 21, okay, multiplied by, the next one is 72, 72 minus 75, okay, plus, this was 12. This was 12. This one is 21. Okay, multiplied by 77 minus 75. Okay, then we add 82, and the frequency is 6. So we have 6 multiplied by 82 minus 75. Absolute value. Okay, plus 92, sorry, 87 and 9. We have 9 multiplied by 87 minus 75. Okay, and 4 times 92 minus 75. 92 minus 75. And then we have that 4 again is 97 minus 75. And all of this divided by 80. Okay? I know it's a mess because of the space. Okay, but let's review. How do we get these numbers? Okay, we're multiplying the frequency, which is in parentheses. Let me put a color here so that you can see it's different. Okay, the ones in red are frequencies. Okay, 12 is a frequency, 21 is a frequency, 9 is a frequency, 4 is a frequency, 4 is a frequency, 6 is a frequency. Okay, and what we have inside is the XM. Remember, XM is the class mark, okay, in the middle between the classes, the intervals. Okay, so that's why we get 52, 57, 62, 67, 72, 77. We all have it. We have all of this information inside the table. Okay, it's the XM, okay, the class mark. Okay, and once we get all of this added and divided by 80, okay, we're going to have that the MAD of this is, I don't have much space. Okay, I'm going to erase here. We don't need this anymore. Even though we have it on page, okay, we have it on page 106. Let's erase this because we need more space. And I thought this whiteboard was going to be enough. Okay, so I'm bringing here the MAD of page 105. And all of this addition, okay, gave me all of that addition between this and the multiplication gave me 666 divided by 80, and the mean absolute deviation of this information, the one on page 105, okay, was 8.3. Okay, now let's review. How do we get this number? We put it here, okay, because we have a group of numbers, okay, divided in the frequency table. When we have just a group of numbers, like a data set, we only need to add them because we don't have a frequency, okay? We don't have how many 2s, we have several 3s, we don't have 3 8s, we don't have 5 11s. We don't have a frequency, we just have a data set. So we just need to add them and divide it by the number of the data, and here we do the deviation. Okay? But when we have a group of information, what we do is we use the median and we use the frequency. Okay? So that is what we get all this information. 52 we got it from the XM on the frequency table, and 75 we got it from the mean. Okay? Now, let's talk about the variance. Okay? The variance, okay? The information was that we need to put this information here to the square. So it's practically the same. Okay? We take this information that we already have, but we elevate it to the square. Okay? So the variance is going to be like this. Okay? The variance is going to be 2 minus 6 square plus 3 minus 6 square plus 6 minus 6 square plus 8 minus 6 square plus 11 minus 6 squared. Okay, all of this divided by 5. Okay, and that's how we get the variance. Okay, remember that the variance is the same formula as MAD, but we need to elevate it to the square. Okay, and here we're using this because we have a data set. Okay, in case we were to have the information like on page 105, we need to do all of this and elevate each absolute power to the square. Okay, I know it's a lot of work, but in case we have it, we will need to use it. Okay, so here, practically it's the same thing. We take our calculators, okay, and we work 2 minus 6 minus 4, but to the square because it's an absolute value. We're going to have 16 plus 3 minus 6. It's going to be minus 3 to the square is 9. Okay, so practically we're taking these and we're elevating to the square. Plus 25. Okay, all of this divided by 5. So the variance, okay, is going to be, take our calculators, 16 plus 9 plus 16. Oh, sorry. This is wrong. Sorry, I was just copying. Okay. So we have this to the square is 0. 2 to the square is 4. This one is 4, sorry. And this one is 25. Okay, and we have the number over there. Now we can use our calculator. And we have 16 plus 9 plus 4 plus 25 is 54. And 54 divided by 5. Okay, we have our variance. 10.8. Okay? If we want to know the variance of that information, okay, same thing. We will need to multiply the frequency by the deviation, okay, but the deviation needs to be square, okay? And the last thing, okay, we're going to finish just working with this one. That one is taking too long, okay? You can find the one for 105 on page 106. Okay, and now we have the standard deviation, okay, which is the square root of the sum of the frequencies divided by n to the square. Okay, so we already have this number. It's already here. Okay, so we just need to take to the standard variation the square root of 10.8. So the standard deviation is going to be square root of 10.8, 3.28. And this is our answer. Okay, so here we have standard deviation, we have the variance, okay, we have the mean absolute deviation, and we have the range. Okay, what I'm going to do is on the next lesson, I'm going to take the exercise from 105. I'm going to do it separately, okay, because it's important to know how we get that numbers as well. Okay, now the exercises that you're going to work on are going to be like this. Okay, I'm going to give you a data set. You're going to give me the range, the mean absolute deviation, the variance, and the standard deviation. Okay, this is what we need right now. I want you to know the information on how to get it from the information from the frequency table from page 105. I'm going to do it separately, okay, so that I can use the whole board. Okay, I'm going to repeat the exercise for page 105, so don't worry. Okay, but the exercises that you're going to work on, remember that under each video you have a link. Okay, and the the exercises that you're going to work on are going to look like this. I'm going to give you a data set. You're going to give me first the range. You're going to give me the mean absolute deviation, the variance, and the standard deviation. Okay? So, I hope this was all clear. Okay, just remember, ignore the page 105 information. Okay, focus on this. This is what we're actually going to need. Okay? I'm actually going to erase this so that it's not mixing up with this. And remember, this is what we need. Okay, so when you look at it like this, it's pretty simple. Okay, we just need to take the range first, then we take out the mean, okay, so that we can use it in the deviation. Then we add the frequencies, well, not the frequencies, the data, okay, and we measure it from the mean, okay, then we get this number. Then we do the variance, which is just taking the same thing here but putting it to the second power. And when we do the standard deviation, it's the square root of the variance. Okay? Perfect. Okay, so remember that under this video you'll find the link of the exercises that you need to work on.